Hey everyone, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in to Relevant Jukebox, and today we're going to talk about the latest album from Mind Palace Music. So this is the debut full-length album of a brand new musical duo entitled which consists of singer-songwriters Victoria Rose, aka Brittle Brian, and Stone Philip Zach. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Now, taking a look at the album cover, it might be easy to assume that you're in store for some kind of like avant-garde electronic album that would be dropped on Orange Milk Records, but this couldn't be further from that. This is a very low-key and intimate album, and according to their Bandcamp page, a majority of these tracks were sent back and forth through iMessage. And that sort of like bedroom atmosphere definitely translates through the recording. And the music on here sits between the worlds of like acoustic singer-songwriter music, bedroom pop, and folk. Now, there's nothing flashy going on here in the instrumentation. Occasionally, there are these like subtle flutes and pianos that show up. There's not really any percussion on here except for a couple tracks. But despite the very stripped back and naked presentation, they're still able to hit this very specific impact with flexing a lot of restraint in these songs. And the mood comes off very warm and specific. The vibe of it is sort of like a mixture between someone like Alex G or Elliott Smith, but add just like a dash of odd, quirky, lo-fi music like someone like the Unicorns, and that's kind of where this lands. Yes, big shoes to fill, I know. They almost do, I think. Now, the record does get off to a sort of mid-pace start, in my opinion, on the opening track, which is not really my favorite of the bunch, but that quickly rebounds with the second track, Star Game. Not really much going on this track overall. It's very stripped back, but the duo is able to really create this warm and sweet atmosphere in the guitars, but really Victoria's vocal performance is what sticks out to me. It's just very catchy to my ears and complements those guitar chords and the very minimal hand clapping very well. I feel similar about the following track, Letters, which also adds in a little bit more instrumentation coming from some flutes and some bass, and it has a much more upbeat tone to it. The mood of the album doesn't stay in this uplifting tone for too long. It kind of shifts back and forth from track to track, but almost becomes dizzying once you get to the track My Journal. It sounds like the song is in reverse, but moving forward at the same time. There are these really twisted guitar lines that are looping themselves, and there's somewhat of a resemblance of a beat that comes in. It's these very odd stumbling sounds that I just can't make heads or tails of. Now, you could say this cut, like many others on here, just ends, which it certainly does, but I think it kind of says everything that it needs to in that minute-and-a-half runtime and really enhances the replay value for me. Cut from Toxic Cloth was another standout that is one of the only tracks in the bunch that features drums. It has a huge Elliott Smith either-or kind of vibe going on in the instrumentation and a very playful vibe to it too that I kind of wish showed up more on the record. It's really enjoyable, but the real shining moment of the whole album, in my opinion, is the closing track, My Garden. The guitar line that opens up this track is just incredible. I mean, I've yet to find a more enchanting guitar line in 2021. Once again, I think Victoria's vocal performance is stellar and complements the track, and it even has this sort of like build-up that happens towards the end with a little bit more instrumentation and some harmonicas that come in to create an extremely serene outro, and it ends up being one of the most fleshed out tracks on the album. Now, there are a couple tracks on here that did pale in comparison to others, like All Is Loneliness, Camera Phone, or Boxford Lane. I just think the pacing were a little bit too slow for me. Friendship is Frequency was a nice little track as well, but it's one that I wish had more of that full band feel to it, like Cut from Toxic Cloth. It just sounds like it could be this pop rock rager, like something like Weezer wrote. And Major Blue Empty is yet another spot on the album that has a lot slower of a pace to it, but it's one that I enjoy. The guitar line just kind of weaves itself into me, and it feels like you're walking this weird journey through the desert. It's very methodical sounding. So going into this record, I wouldn't expect something that's extremely studio polished, and if you were following like bedroom pop labels like Orchid Tapes when they were going and you were really interested in that, I highly suggest listening to this album. The appeal is very specific, but very rewarding, and a lot of that had to do with the feel of the songs and like the atmosphere that they put out. It came off like very plain to my ears at first, but ended up winning me over with the vocal performances and the songwriting, and it's just like a nice contrast overall to the lot of like the maximalist, like really noisy stuff that I usually consume. And definitely be patient with this one, because in my opinion, like a lot of the briefest moments can be some of the most special. And with that being said, I'm feeling a 7.5 over here on Mind Palace Music. Now, I'm gonna have links down below to At's Bandcamp page. There's no physical releases as of this moment, but you can pick up a digital copy. And if you have listened to Mind Palace Music already, what did you think about it? Let me know in the comments section down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and share. And if you want more content from me, hit that subscribe button. Peace.